Fire away.
And we're live. Welcome to Wod of Mouth. Tonight we have on Revival Fitness owner, or one of them, Dave Lima. He's the man, the myth, the legend. I had to dress for the occasion.
Yes.
Uh, and yeah, we're probably the two people that bug him the most.
We are by far the two people who
Yeah.
love the most.
I will not
And
argue that.
it is probably not close.
There's a couple in that line, but you're the two that ask the most questions.
Well, you know,
with
Dave, I
pride.
just like talking to you. That's why.
That
It's
has
just
to be what it
attention-seeking behaviors.
is.
I'm not gonna dime the person out, but I was wearing this while I was coaching one day, and someone was like, "What's your shirt?" And I was like, Dave Fan Club. I'm a fan of Dave." And they're like, "Who's Dave?" And I was like, "Dave Lima." And the person goes, "Is that an MMA fighter?" And I was like, "He literally owns the building you are in right now."
I don't seek glory, so sometimes I get it.
That is kind of like funny though that there are people like at the gym that don't know
Yeah.
you as Kyle. Like that is interesting to me. As somebody who greets every single person that walks in the door, like I can't imagine not knowing you guys. But I feel like I don't know if it's intentional or not that you guys kind of don't shove that down people's throats, so to speak. Like
I think I think it's intentional for both Kyle and I. It's not a thing like where we have to show everybody we're the owners, because I think that's kind of like a controlling factor for some people out there. But like that, we just want to run a good gym and have them have a good experience for that hour every day of their life, like so that it doesn't make a difference to us if they know who we are or not. If they're having a great day in the gym, then that's all that really matters. So.
Well, that kind of like leads me into a question that I think, like when I got into CrossFit, it was literally just because I drove past the same CrossFit sign every day, and I was like, well, I guess this is what I'll do now, and then that was it. Like, and it wasn't until I was in CrossFit that I kind of went to some other gyms, and I was like, oh, like CrossFit isn't just CrossFit. So, like, how do you guys think you foster like something different at a CrossFit gym, like what differentiates like if somebody had CrossFit at Gym A and CrossFit Gym B, like
Yeah. So I think it starts at the top and like what the vision is of ownership, and what they want to instill in their gym, and then it kind of trickles down from there. You want to make sure that you have programming that is doable for people. Discouraged by the programming too. You can throw a 255-pound clean for max reps out there, but there's very limited amount of people that can do that, and then you start to lose your audience if that's the kind of thing you're going to do. You want to make it so that it's scalable and doable for everybody, and when they come in, they always feel like they have a workout that they accomplished something. And then some of it is having people like you two out there that are greeting every single person that walks in the door with a smile and letting them feel like they're part of the gym right off the bat. I'll tell you right now, that is a huge deal because so many people walk in there shivering and scared that when they have a friendly face that greets them right off the bat, they're sold immediately on the gym.
Hi, my name is Ashley. Do you want to be my best friend?
I feel like the first month I was there after we took over, that was like I watched you do that to like 12 different people, and I was like, this is amazing. We have a personal greeter. You could go to Walmart anytime you want, and you have a resume already built for it.
That's right. Well, I actually do that because when I started CrossFit, and this was back in 2017, prior to your ownership, everybody was very nice to me. Like there was nobody who was mean to me. Like everybody was super nice, but I would do the 4:30 class, and I came in at 4:29, and I left at 5:31. Because I just didn't understand the language. I didn't know what people were talking about. It seemed like everybody was like knew everybody, and I was like this orbiting situation. Yeah. So once I finally felt like confident and comfortable, I was like, I never want anybody else to feel insecure to talk to people. Because once I like just put myself out there, I was like, wow, these people are great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where that sort of came from, and also. They haven't heard all my stories, so that's great for me.
I posted Nicole's comment, did you sign up for the Open next week? Because it was like her first week, and I was like, hey, did you sign up for the Open? And she was like, who the fuck is this guy?
You got her, and she did it.
Yes, she did.
That's right.
Well, and CrossFit has a tendency to have a reputation of being cliquey, especially inside of gyms. And I think that, at least in my opinion, I could be wrong, and there could be a dozen people that tell me that I'm wrong about this, but I think that we've done a pretty good job of making it where it's not cliquey. It is all encompassing, and everybody can participate in everything, so that it feels better every time you walk in there, and you don't feel like, oh, those are the cool kids or the mean girls over there. Like, you feel like you're walking into a group of people that want to see you succeed instead of want to break you down.
You have natural friend groups, but they don't compete.
Yeah. I mean, and that's inevitable. That's part of life too, right? Like, no matter what, there's going to be people that are drawn to each other and that are friends. But I mean, being respectful and supportive of others is, I think, the more important part. And you don't have to go out and drink with them or share a Smoothie King with them, but you can still be respectful and help them get through workouts.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who gave me, and it's funny because it has come full circle at this point. Like when I first started, one of my first goals was to get pull-ups, and now I have pull-ups. But there were a lot of people who gave me guidance and support, and I have video of my first kipping chest to bar, and it's 7 kips to get. It doesn't count. It would not count in any competition. But there were so many people that when I posted that video were so excited for me.
Yeah,
I just felt like I was the strong. It didn't matter. I was the strongest person in the world at that moment. And I do think our gym does a great job of giving that feeling to others, whether it's a 10-pound dumbbell they're using for the first time, or a 250-pound snatch that they got for the first time. That feeling should never change as you grow through your experience.
Yeah, it's important to have that kind of community, but it's also important to figure out if you don't have that kind of community and kind of weed out those people that are the negative, the negative people out there, because somebody's accomplishment is their accomplishment, and you don't want it ever to be taken away or to be taken lightly, because CrossFit's all about a series of really small accomplishments that end up being a giant accomplishment at the end. So, which is the life of fitness, and staying fit and being healthy.
Well, and it's kind of oh, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
And I've never seen, and since I've been coming, I've never seen more people excited to get better at skills as I have recently. And it's become so apparent. People are really excited for pull-up day. They're really excited for handstand push-up day. And they're pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, and then really celebrating these wins. Whereas before, they might try it, they might not, and if they did, they might not even tell anyone because they feel like they should have already been at that level. Where we don't. You walk in the door as you are, and then our goal is to get you just to that next baby step every time.
One of my least favorite phrases in the world that I hear way too often from people is, "I need to get in shape before I start CrossFit." I'm like, that is the worst mentality, and you couldn't be more wrong. It'll get you here, I promise. So just get on the train and let's go.
Well, and it's funny because I said, it kind of came full circle now, where now I have members that are new and don't know bobblehead version of me. They don't know 100-pound Ashley, so they think I've just been doing these things forever.
Yeah.
And I'll show them the video of my first attempt, and they're like, "Oh, you were bad." And I was like, "Yeah." But so for you, how did you transition from athlete to coach to owner? Was it athlete to owner? How did you become an affiliate owner?
Well, that's it. It's a fun story, and it like you said, it's come full circle. I started at Crofton CrossFit, which is Revival Fitness now, so formerly Crofton CrossFit, and was there for going on 3.5 years. And when I first walked in the doors, I found I loved CrossFit from the second I started it. And in my head, I was like, I would love to own one of these and do this as a full-time job. Unfortunately, CrossFit isn't lucrative enough to make you rich unless you're Rich Froning. But but I did know right away that I loved it, and I loved like the way it made me feel, and the lifestyle it helped me to choose. So there was an opportunity to start our own, and I jumped on it. But when I first jumped on it, I was just handling kind of like the back office, the financial stuff, the business aspects of it, like working with the landlords, working with lawyers, working with the county, those kind of things. And I got my level 1, and I just kind of slowly started coaching. It wasn't anything where I threw myself in. I let the experienced coaches start the process, and then kind of just kept learning from them and over again. Because coaching is all about learning every single day. Like every single coach can teach you something new that you've never seen or done before, and that it'll click for somebody else. And that's the biggest thing for me, is finding ways to communicate to athletes to make it click. So I could be saying something every single time, and that athlete just stares at me blankly. But then I hear you say something, or Klep say something different, and just says it different, and I say it that same way, and then all of a sudden it clicks for them. So you have to steal from every coach, and that's what makes you a better coach.
Yeah. I had Aria in class last week, and she was just shadowing me, and I've tried to give her cues and stuff to like just make her move better, move with like proper form. And Jeremy was coaching the class, and I told Jeremy like beforehand, like, hey, like if you have something to say to her, say it, but like don't spend time with the members, like they're who's important, right? And but he said something, and he was like, Aria, bring your hips forward, and then she just like immediately did it perfect, and I was like, this bitch, like I'm trying to get her to move like that for a month.
Yeah, there's two things. Like, you don't try to coach your kids or your significant other, because no matter what you say, no matter how experienced you are, they don't listen to you at all. Somebody else comes over and says the exact same thing you just said, and they're like, oh, I wish you would have told me that before. You're like, well, I kind of did, but that's fine. I'm glad you're learning it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So one of the questions I've been like wanting to ask you for a while is so you came in, and I remember when we first met you guys was at the Christmas party, and I remember thinking like, fuck, the gym's gonna be like all different now, right? I was like, oh, who are these guys? Because we were used to a certain way. We had a certain culture. We were used to certain programming, and you guys, came in and changed things. And
Yeah.
like hindsight being 2020, I can't see it going any other way. I'm so glad it happened that way. But my question is, how is it when you step into an already established gym, one that you're like familiar with, but you probably only knew a handful of people at that time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it was a little bit more nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be, and you had some people like, so I think people hate change, right? So that's just a natural situation for almost all humans. They hate change. It doesn't matter if the change is going to be good or not; they just hate it. Like, so there was a lot of skeptics right from the start, from when we came in. So it was kind of hard at first to win people over. But I think as they saw us continue to reinvest in the gym with new equipment and programming, and taking the programming very seriously, not that it wasn't taken seriously before, but like making sure that we explained our program and explained why we were doing things, and not just throwing it on you and saying, this is just the way it is, because giving communication to that says like, this is our thought process behind it. This is our vision, and this is how we want to run this thing. I think people started to come around real quick with that. And I mean, the biggest thing is buy people shiny stuff, and they get really excited about it too. So.
Well, I actually remember, oh my gosh, when you guys took over, I think I came to you, Dave, like week 2, and I was like, the fuck, Dave, where are the partner workout Saturdays? And like the next week they were back. Like, and it was funny because I guess that is something that like is different gym to gym, but like I and a lot of other members like look forward all week to like Saturday. Yeah. Because me and Malcolm would always team up, and like pre-Malcolm, I always would team up with like a random new person, and it was like fun for me to meet somebody new. Yeah. And it was how I made a lot of friends at the gym. So I was like, no, you're taking my favorite things from me. And then you did put Saturday partner workouts back in, and I think Kyle like tried to kill us all. And
You
that
want these?
horrible burpee like I remember the workout. It was pistol squats and burpees, and of course, like Taylor and Kyle are just like over there flying through the workout. I think Taylor has one glistening like bead of sweat, and she like looks like an angel from above, like doing her pistol squats.
Accurate.
And I was just dying, and I was like, I was an RX athlete a week ago. Like 1 week ago, I was an RX athlete, and I am dying.
Yeah.
But it's like funny because it's, you know, just to steal that from Michael, hindsight is 2020. Like I wasn't.
I didn't create that phrase. Just
I like wasn't an RX athlete though. Like
Yeah.
I was just like egoing my way through RX workouts, and my skill level wasn't there. And you guys threw some skills in there that I didn't have, and all of a sudden I was a big crybaby. And I like, but it made me work on those skills. Like,
Yeah.
it just took me to like swallowing my pride and being like, oh, I guess 4 years of coming in 5 days a week hasn't really done it for me yet.
Well, I think
but,
one of the
you know,
stigmas
no.
to break is RX athlete, right? Like,
Yeah.
everyone is different and in a different place of their fitness journey. So, like, while clicking that button to be RX is fun, it's not necessary for you to get a great workout in and to stay healthy and to get stronger. And I think that's one of the things to actually think about all the time. You know, I often find myself scaling now because I want to move correctly and hit the stimulus versus like, ooh, I got to click the button. Because, I mean, if I didn't move the whole time and I was staring at the barbell, but I got to click the button, it doesn't really mean that I did that workout RX. Like, I didn't get the stimulus out of it. But I think that that's a hard thing for people to understand too. And then a lot of people love to do the things that they are good at and not work on the things that they're not great at. So you find people that they sandbag a little bit, or they cherry pick, and they're like, oh, you know what? I won't go in on Tuesdays because that's the day that they do snatches, and I hate snatches. Or I won't go in on the days when they do handstand push-ups because I can't do them. Like, well, you'll never be able to do them that way. So congratulations. But we just wanted to try to make it every single day you could have something that you might not be good at or you might be great at, and try to foster people to continue to come in with that aspect instead of thinking like, oh, I'm going to skip those days.
Yeah.
And clicking that RX button, like you said, it doesn't make you any fitter. I went to my mom's first gym, and I remember she sent me the workout the night before, and I was like, this looks easy. And then I was like, that's probably a trap. Like,
Yeah.
We've all been there, right? So I was like, this looks easy. This is probably a trap. And then I got there and I did it, and everyone listening that goes to Revival knows if I am RX, I'm bottom of that RX leaderboard, right? Like, that's just where I sit. I sit at the bottom of the leaderboard. I know it. My conditioning's not great, and it started with an Echo bike, but it was like a different brand. It was a brand of fan bike I've never seen before, so I had no idea if it was going to be an Echo bike or like an assault bike. Like, I just knew it was a fan bike, and I come off this fan bike, and I'm the second one off, and I'm like, oh, I fucked up. And I get through the whole workout, and I'm still second, and I finished it, and I was still second, and I was like, oh, this programming, and I wasn't even like that tired. And then I was looking at it and I was like, this is something that we would have done, rested 3 minutes, and then done it again, and then done it again. And that's why I'm not tired. And so, like, if I had...
So maybe your cardio is better than you think it is.
Maybe. I'm going to still say it's not as good as it should be, but... But my point is like, hitting RX there really isn't making me any fitter than scaling it here at Revival, where I'm like getting my butt whooped.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's took Jeremy a long time to get that through my head, and he's been preaching it at me for years. And I finally have been, in the last year, taking his advice a little bit. And there's times I finish a workout, and I'm like yesterday I did it was like the push press, overhead lunges, and like double unders, and I did a 25 instead of the 35, and and I got done, and I was like, ooh, that was nice. I was like, I don't feel terrible. I don't feel dead. I feel good. I'm sweaty. And it was like just a good workout. So the beauty, there is like beauty in scaling that I think people like do forget that. And I guess that's like another question I have, because when I started coaching, I had a little bit of, and I still do, like there's some movements I just like don't have at the gym. And sometimes I feel like, oh, well, geez, like, are people going to take me seriously as a coach? And I guess as owners, well, you guys, I mean, well, I guess it doesn't help that you're great, but like, was there ever that intimidation for you guys? And like, and not only did you take over an established gym, you took over an established gym into COVID. So like that had to be a wild experience. Was there ever like doubt about that?
Man, that was probably the most stressful like 6 months of my life, where I think I lost a few years of my life during that time, because we weren't expecting to have to pivot, and we took over a gym and had to make some corrections when we took it over, but we had only had it for 3 months. So just as we felt like we were starting to go in the right direction, COVID hit, shuts us down, and we're like, okay, now we have to pivot and figure out a way to keep these people engaged that don't know us, don't trust us yet either, and keep them engaged enough that they're going to come back when this is all over, which we had no idea when it was going to be all over either. They told us 2 weeks when it first got shut down, and it ended up being like almost 3 months, really. So it was definitely one of those things where I lost some sleep, lost some years of my life because of it. But I think that by continuing to by renting out the equipment, by continuing to do programming, by continuing to put stuff up on, like weekly workouts and doing the daily workouts with people, we gained some people that maybe would have quit if we hadn't done that, and then gaining that trust. But I don't wish that upon anybody. COVID was, as a business owner, was one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life. And not because of the actual disease itself, but because of what they were doing and forcing us to shut down, and even if you were operating correctly, you still weren't allowed to be open. So it was crazy.
And a lot of affiliates didn't make it out. So
yeah, and I mean, you still see the trickle effect of affiliates closing now, which is more probably from COVID still, because they just never regained those people back. And we've seen it in our area quite a bit, actually. So it's one of those things. Our gym is doing the best it's ever done. Our numbers are as high as they've ever been. Classes are full. So we're happy with where we are at this point, for sure.
We have a lot in our favor. You guys have an amazing spot. That real estate being on 3, where people drive by it every day, is great. Yeah. You're not like off in a little corner somewhere where people have to Google it.
Yep.
And I think, like you said, like renting out the equipment, as scary as it was, it made me, because as most people probably know, I was just a member then. It made me be like, oh wow, these guys are risking some serious stuff for us. So I remember like having that conversation with Catherine. I was like, hey, as long as we can, we have equipment, so as long as we can pay our membership, let's keep doing that. We were in a good spot. I wasn't afraid of not getting a paycheck at any given point. So,
and I can't tell you how thankful I am for families like yours and Ashley and Malcolm, and all the people that decided that, hey, we're gonna stick by you guys and keep paying during this time, and hopefully you guys come out better on the other end. And I think we have, but if we didn't have people like you guys, I mean, we were going to be a sunk ship very quickly.
And I want to like point out that when you say like rent out equipment, you guys like gave us equipment. It wasn't, we didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
Like I had, like you gave, like we had a barbell, we had a bench, like we were able to do basically any CrossFit workout, like and we were in this, that's a whole nother story, the world's smallest apartment. But like we were able to do everything. I genuinely felt like my fitness, maintained like during COVID. And I think a lot of people, I still hear that at work a lot, like since COVID, like I just never got back to it. And I think like what you guys did for the people at your gym, like I was in the same boat as Michael. Like our school shut down, we were back in 2 weeks. So it was like, I didn't miss a paycheck. I technically got a raise because I didn't have to drive to work. So I remember texting you and being like, hey, as long as I can pay, I'll pay. But I think we kind of lucked out. Like if you had like an LA Fitness membership, like they weren't like here take an elliptical.
No,
Like, you know what I mean? So,
but
and
it was one of those things that we felt like was the right thing to do at that time, and like we were on it all in it together. It was one of those first times in the like that I can remember that everybody was in the same boat, kind of like situation. You know, businesses were shutting down, so we're all in this situation together. Let's figure out a way to get through it together too.
Yeah, and I think kind of like circling back a little bit towards the first question I asked, how like if somebody was a prospective like looking into CrossFit, how do they find the CrossFit gym that is going to rent them for free equipment and put on Zoom classes for free and do game nights for free during a global pandemic? Like, how do you find that community in the world of CrossFit?
So I mean, I don't know that is findable right off the bat, but I think one of the big things for me is one, you can figure out what CrossFit you want to do by watching and seeing if coaches do the programming, because programming is a big deal, right? So if the coaches aren't doing it and they're all doing their own thing, like every single one of them, and obviously there's some that have different goals than others, so which is totally fine. But if all the coaches aren't doing the programming, then that says something about the programming right off the bat. Another thing to do to check the pulse of a CrossFit is come to their Saturday workouts and see how many people are showing up on Saturdays, and you'll see what the lifeline of that CrossFit is. Like if they're doing really well, it's a packed house. If they're kind of struggling, it's like, a few people straggling here and there. And normally our 3 classes right now on Saturdays are pretty packed, every single one of them, it pumps me up so much on Saturdays. But those are 2 ways I always can kind of test it out, and always just, I would say, try before you buy every single like if you're ever going to switch across to a CrossFit, go in and just see how, if there is an Ashley that's going to greet you as soon as you walk in and tell you how wonderful the place is, like, or if there is somebody that is running you through the workout, because that's also something else that you're going to see. There's some CrossFits out there that they won't even tell you what to do in the workout. They just throw it up on a board and say, here's your workout, 3, 2, 1, go. And you're like, wait, what happened just now?
The
An
first
AMRAP, EMOM, Metcon mashup?
Yeah, you're like, I'm not sure I know what any of this means right now, and I just want to work out. I think I'm going to leave.
The first box I went to was so bad that it took me some time to like give it another try.
I've been to one before. They just had a running clock for the hour, like, and they were just like, there's the workout of the day, like, it just threw it up on a board and like, go ahead.
You can get it off CrossFit.com for free.
I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Michael, if you have a question, I have another question, but I can, I'll just keep talking. So if you have a question, please go.
I have one, but I'll wait. It's a good it's a good one to end on. So
okay.
I'll say that.
So one of the things, like, the foundations of CrossFit is that it is accessible for everybody, right? Like every workout is scalable, accessible, flexible. Like that's my, as an occupational therapist, like my favorite thing about CrossFit. I can talk about that all day long. That it is meant for all walks of life. And one of the things CrossFit talks about is, to that philosophy, they want affiliates to be cheap to open. So they talk about, like, it's very cheap to open a CrossFit gym, and then, like, if you're running a good gym, you'll be successful. And I guess sometimes people, like, I guess when I found out you could have a level 1 and then just open a gym, I was like, oh, like, well, that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
So like, do you truly think that barrier to entry is as low as, what is the affiliate, like $1,000 for affiliation, $5,000?
$3,000 annually.
Like, if you have $3,000, does that make you a business owner? Like,
no. So I mean, if you think about that, $3,000 is just what you have to pay CrossFit to enter the market. You still need a space, and you usually have to come up with first and last month's rent. And if, like, for instance, for our place, rent is not cheap because of where we are located. Then you have to buy equipment, and if you do it right, like, that's like another $75,000 to $100,000 worth of equipment that you end up having to buy or have in your gym in order for it to be truly functional to the point, like, where you can have 10-person classes. 10 rowers, that's $10,000 right there for 10 rowers. So I mean, real quick, the math adds up really fast when you start to do all that work. And of course, Rogue has got a monopoly on the market more or less because they've got the best stuff. So every single time you buy them, you might buy and it might feel more expensive, but it lasts. I learned early that you buy cheap, you buy twice. So you just might as well buy Rogue first and then deal with that later on.
It also
Rogue
sends a
sponsor us.
signal too, like when you walk in and you see like a bunch of the nice, pretty Rogue stuff, and it doesn't look like you're trying to like buy the cheapest
Piecemeal
thing
it.
off. Yeah, like I said, I walked into that my mom's affiliate, and there was an air bike I've never seen before. So I was like, I guess we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to. I'm sorry, like my cat is having like he's really enjoying the podcast right
I
now.
like that.
He's in the fan club.
Yeah. We'll give him a try.
But it's funny. We drop into a box near where my parents live, and every time we go in, it's like this equipment is like not used. Like it looks brand new, and I was like, it's almost like a little sad.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny that you talk about like $100,000 right to open a gym because until I was a coach, maybe like I didn't think about it as much, but people tell me all the time, like, oh, we need more of this. We need like I have any control over that, which is fine. Like, I think they assume I'll pass it along, but they're like, if we just had like one more of this or one more of that. And I was like, we have so much, we have a big space and we have so much equipment that we're running out of space to put it in.
Yeah.
So it is funny. And like, when I was thinking about that question, I was like, we think about membership being pricey, right? Like Planet Fitness is $10 a month. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, it is so much cheaper. That's very, very true. Although if you look at like those high end, like luxury gyms, like I know Merit is still like $100 a month.
Yeah. Merit's over $100.
But if I'm also going into Merit and like wandering around and never loading a barbell the way I will here, because like here, Anna had to save me the other day. I was bench pressing and I was like, I'm gonna go for like 10 at 90%. And I don't know. It was just an idea, David. It didn't pan out. Anna had to save me. But like, I never would have had the guts to get as strong as I have gotten by myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, I would pay membership price just for that. But like the overhead for you guys, like our payment, one person's payment is like a drop in the bucket. Like I can spend $150 a month at Starbucks and not think twice about it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's always interesting. People are like, oh, CrossFit is so expensive. And I was like, compared to that Peloton you never use or.
But if you look at the Peloton, even then that becomes expensive. Your monthly membership is $45 a month. Your payment on the Peloton, which costs you $3,500, is $120 a month. And then now all of a sudden we're at a CrossFit membership, like right there. So, I mean, and you're going to get to vary it a little bit. It's not going to be ride the bike as far as you can again today. Like, you're going to get to use your whole body instead of just one part. I have nothing against Peloton. Actually, I think there's a place for it. I just think that there is more to being fit than just riding a bike or just running or just walking or whatever.
You mean constantly very moving to execute it at a high intensity?
Level 1. But it is this is the last thing I'll say. Like the money that you pay, this is how I look at it. Like the money that I put towards my membership was either going to go towards this membership or like my hip replacement in 20 years. Yeah. Or like the stroke rehab in 20 years. Like, I know that sounds dramatic, but like as somebody who worked at inpatient rehab, like I would see people who were young and should be healthy, like have a hip replacement, which should be like, you're up and moving the next day. And they were going to a nursing home and they were like 35 because they were overweight and they couldn't take care of themselves. And, their significant other couldn't help them because they couldn't lift them either. Compared to like, I had the 70-year-old, he was like 70 something. And I only knew he was 70 something because I went into the chart to look. So I was like, he cute. And he was like 73. But he looked great. And he had a knee replacement that went bad, had no knee for like months. But he was an avid cyclist and like an outdoorsman. And he was like getting up, walking around, hopping around on one leg. He's like, I can just go home. His wife came in. She was super strong. She was like lifting him out of bed. I was like, oh yeah, you can go home. I was
Yeah.
like, what's the difference? Like the amount of money I will pay to not go to a nursing home is a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Like
It's
is a lot.
crazy. And, it comes down to even if you do get injured in your life, if you're in shape when you get injured, it's a whole different recovery. Um, and not that pregnancy is an injury, but like even pregnant women, like their births are 10 times easier because of working out all the way up and all the way through their pregnancy, and the recovery after giving birth is easier because they've worked out leading up to it. That's one of my favorite things. We've had so many people that work out all the way up until basically the day they give birth, and then they're back in as soon as their doctor will clear them, like 6 8 weeks later, and they're right back at it, and they're feeling good 2 months later instead of 2 years later. And it's because they had their body ready for this versus kind of just letting it go for a while.
Well, and I think the mental aspect is a little bit different. Like the idea of getting back into the gym post pregnancy is to get back to athleticism, not back to a certain size.
Yeah.
Like, and even not talking about pregnancy, but just in general, like it's a very cool mindset shift, like mindset shift that is like pretty exclusive to CrossFit. Like I tell this to everybody, like I joined CrossFit to lose 10 pounds and I have gained 30, and I feel better, look better, and like my body better than I ever did. And I was never getting that at Planet Fitness for $10.
Yeah. No.
Like,
no. My background was I played soccer and ran track in high school and college. And when I got out of college, I tried the LA Fitness Gold Gym working out, and it just never worked. Like I just would wander around, I'd get bored, I'd do a couple sets, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna go home now. That was fun. Or I would always do back and buys every day, or I'd always do chest and tries every day. Like it's all it ever was. And I was like, this just isn't working. And then I realized for me, I came from a competitive atmosphere of my life. Like I always was competing. And then I also always had a coach telling me what to do. Every single day of my athletic career, I had always had a coach telling me what to do. So when I found CrossFit, I was like, this is what I needed. This is what it's about right here. So it clicked for me.
Yeah, I love when new people come in. So like earlier this week, we had someone. Actually, it was yesterday. I was working out on my own, and Louis was like, "Hey, someone's been at the desk for like 10 minutes," and I'm like, "Oh," and I look around, and I'm the only coach not currently like busy, right? So I go out there, and it's this guy, and he's just asking tons of questions, and he's debating. He tells me he's debating between us and Orange Theory, right? And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what are your goals? And he says like exactly what most people say. Like, I want to lose some weight, and I want to keep my strength. And I was like, you'll only do one of those at Orange Theory, man. Like, and like I show him the price sheet, and I'm like, hey, if you have any sticker shock about this, because like, I am well aware you can go down the road and find a cheaper place to work out, but there's a lot of stuff here that's included that you don't get at other places. It's like you have coaches that care. That's for one. Like if you wanted to pay for one-on-one training, you'd be paying more than what you're paying here.
Oh,
and now
you're
you have
paying
not
$400
just
to $500 a month if you do
exactly.
one-on-one.
And yeah, maybe I'm not sitting there watching every workout, but you have a coach sitting there watching every workout, and now you have multiple coaches who are invested in your progress on top of that. And like, I don't know how many of us spend extra time when we're like, not on the clock, because we just like being there, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I like seeing people do well. I like giving them tips. I like watching that PR and that first pull up and all that stuff. That stuff is rewarding to me, and I get to explain that. And then on top of it, you guys provide so much programming. Like there's no excuse to not find something and get better at something. Like No, I'm bad at gymnastics. Okay, well, we have a gymnastics program that you can do, like come in and do, and there's all that stuff, and I'm like, that stuff is nickel and dimed at other places, and you should realize that.
Yeah,
The
I mean, I
Olympic
think
lifting.
we want to give people what they need to succeed. So in order to do that, you can't kind of uh, hold stuff back from them just to try to nickel and dime them. I think you'll build longer relationships by giving them what they need and walking them through that stuff than you will by saying, "Oh yeah, you want that? Oh, give me another $30 a month." And oh, you want that too? Give me another $40 a month. Like, I think you lose people way faster that way than you do by saying, "All right, here it all is. You look at it, you tell me what you need and what you need guidance on, and then we'll walk you through it. We'll always have a house wad for you. That never goes anywhere. And we'll always be doing strength cycles for you. That's never going to go anywhere. But if you want to get better in different aspects, here's how you can do it. That's just on you to do it, though.
I was thinking about this actually last night. I was sitting and watching Ollie because I'm trying to not do more than 2 workouts in a day. So I watched other people work out for an hour. And, but I was like thinking, I was like, wow, like it is kind of cool that Ollie is part of our membership. And I was like, I wonder if Ollie was like $15, like if people would do it. And I was like, I bet you there are a lot of people who never would try it. Cause I think people are already a little intimidated to jump into the Ollie class.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've had people say like, oh, that is for like the people who are good. And I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Actually,
like,
for the complete opposite.
Yeah. Like, when I show people my first clean, they're like,
Yeah.
And I was like, that was all Jeremy. But so like people will randomly drop into it and then they'll be like, oh, I like this. And that's how I started doing Ollie. I was like intimidated and scared. And I was like, everybody here is cleaning 7,000 pounds and I'm on a PVC pipe. But I think by not having that being an extra paid service, like it broadens the scope of CrossFit for people. Like it's more than just some barbells and a dumbbell for 60 minutes. Like teaching people to work on skills, I think is so much harder than teaching people to exercise. Like getting that mindset of like, I want to become better at these skills, regardless of how it makes me look. Like regardless of what I look like in a bathing suit after this. Like, and it is like the fact, like when I finally overcame that 135 clean, like every friend I had listened to me bitch and moan about that for like 2 straight years. And I was like angry. Like I was not a good person. And then,
I've seen that version of you.
But when I finally, whatever, David.
But like, I may or may not have taken plates off of her barbell before.
A lot of people have. But like, I went in yesterday and I was doing like 125 just for some like light reps in the warm up, and I was like, man, this feels so much better than like. And we're going on vacation, and it like had occurred to me. I was like, I haven't thought once about like, oh man, like I need to lose weight and like I don't look good enough. I'm like, I can clean 145 pounds. I don't give a fuck what these people think about what I look like. It's just cool. It's like a different, and I think you guys offer that to people through like not gatekeeping Ollie, not gatekeeping gymnastics work, not gatekeeping different, like even the yoga on Sunday that we have. Like it's very cool of you guys to do that because you could easily charge for those things.
I mean, one of the things that we like to do is give our coaches the ability to kind of do their own thing and run their own program too. So, like, for instance, the Grunt Work Fridays, like Ash, you came to us and said, "Hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to do," and we said, "Awesome, put it into effect, and you run that, and you own it, and that's what you've done." And like. And the same thing with Emily. Emily was like, I think that I want to start teaching a yoga class. And we were like, awesome. You put it into effect. You decide the time. You decide, when you can do it. And now it's done. And those are like 2 of our most popular classes now, too. Like, they have 20-something people showing up to them every single week consistently. And it's amazing if you give coaches the ability to take ownership of something. And when they do actually take that ownership, like what can come from it, too. Like, it's really cool. But those are things like, I mean, yoga is necessary for people, and I wish I did it more because my body feels so much better after I do it. And it's just finding the time always. Like it's always time based, right? Like just always finding that extra hour to do something else. And sometimes I have to make the sacrifice. Like for some reason, my family comes before some of my athletic endeavors.
No, the yoga. If this is just like a PSA. If you have not taken Emily's yoga class on Sunday and you live in like Maryland, you should come to Revival Fitness Sunday at 11:30. And
Okay.
I am a brand new person by the time I leave there. And you know, when I hurt my back, she was the one who like got me into yoga, and it really was like life changing inside and outside of the gym for me. So that's like a shout out to Emily for that.
Yeah.
She's the flow master. Different type of flow master, but she's a flow master.
All right, Michael,
All right.
what's your great question that we've been waiting on?
All right, I wanted to know if you have any inside scoop or any first thing like news to drop to us. About anything coming in the gym. If not, that's cool, but I figured I would ask anyway.
We have a new clock coming. That's
Yes.
No, I mean we will always continue to reinvest. That's one of the things that we take a lot of pride in, is that we don't want anyone to just feel like that they're just paying for nothing. We think that we try to over deliver. But we always want to reinvest, especially in our equipment, because some of that stuff gets beat on. So, trying to, Cassie wants a worm. I would actually love a worm.
We would all love a worm. It's decided.
That could be in the future at some point too. Cassie, maybe we can do that for you. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, reinvesting is one of the ways you can see how a gym's doing too. If they stop reinvesting, you start to get a equipment graveyard. You start to know like something's up. And we try to get our equipment back up and running as fast as possible. The rowers have been breaking down recently, and as soon as they do, like, we're contacting Concept 2, and they're like, hey, your rower just broke down again. So we work with them every single time. But it's nothing. I can't speak to anything other than a clock coming this week. But there could be some big announcements in the future though.
Ooh, you heard it first here.
There
could be a big announcement. There may or may not be one.
I think in the next 2 weeks you'll hear a big announcement.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
More CrossFit at CrossFit?
More CrossFit at CrossFit. That's right. We also we're about to open up another 5 a.m. class on Tuesdays as well, because there was a demand for that. 5 a.m. is not my favorite time of the day, but some people like it. So when there's a demand for stuff, we try to give it to them.
Me and Cassie did that for a long time. We did Thursdays at 5 a.m. and it was like novelty. Like it was like an adventure. Like I didn't like I would like come home and I would need to like nap, like power nap, and then go to work. I would fall asleep at my desk. It was not like a sustainable thing for me, but it was so much fun when we did it. And we did bro out a lot after class, which was also very fun.
Well, what's funny is like when you're forced to, like, that's the only time you can do it, and you take your fitness and your health serious, and that's when you can do it, and that's when you can get it in, and that's the only time of the day that you can. You find a way to make it feel like, okay, maybe this is when I need to be doing it. But 5 a.m. it always sounds so rough to me.
It is funny because I do like my workouts like change around. Like, my schedule has been not great. But I was talking about that at camp the other day. I was like, I went to the gym before this, so I'm just, my legs are a little ugh. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like you work out and then you come here. And I'm like, well, it never occurred to me to not do that.
Yeah.
Like never did I ever think like, oh, I can't work out at my normal time, so I'm just not going to work out. And I was like, I'm always a little mind blown. And I'm like, oh, like I know, okay, this isn't a general public thing. Okay, this is a me thing. But it's all my
at 4:30 when that alarm goes off, I do think that.
But you know what? That's the amazing part too. Is like you just said it.
We got a question for you.
I just saw that. That's an amazing part too. Is like the majority of people they don't put fitness first in their life.
Yeah.
You want it, Nicole, you get it, girl. Um,
Me
he
and
will
Dave
be
are
there
fighting
tomorrow.
over it. We're duking it out.
I
Because
just
we
like to
all
be able
love you
to
guys.
coach A class. No, the majority of people don't put it as a priority, so that if they had to work and the only time they would be able to work out would be the morning, and they just make an excuse that that's not when they're going to do it. Like
Yeah.
that's their excuse. Oh, I had to work today, but
And
there's a lot of time to do it.
And it's the accountability. Like, it's the accountability that comes with CrossFit. Like, even when I very first started under like the old ownership, like if I wasn't there for a week, I would get a text. LA Fitness has never texted me. Like, they've sent me like a bill every month, but they have never like texted me. And, my car was unreliable. And even when I didn't know people, if my car broke down, they'd be like, "Do you need a ride?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." But, and even like 5 a.m. Like, if Cassie wouldn't have gone, there is like no way on God's green earth I would have been there. And even now, like when I have to like Tetris my schedule to make it work, there have been I worked out, I lifted this morning with like Kaylin and Lindsay, and like there were other people there, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I can't wait to go talk to them tomorrow about, we were looking at like clothes or whatever. But it's you can't get it anywhere else.
I agree with you, but I'm a little bit biased though.
I'm not. I'm completely Switzerland. Like, I, take it or leave CrossFit. But in September.
I won't be joining you guys.
What school's back in September?
I'll be there in spirit. Well, I'll actually get woken up because Ashley will set off the alarm anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
I can't. I swear to God, I put the code in right, but it's always like the 6 a.m. people are like, man, they are on time. Like, there's nobody rolling into 6 a.m. late. So I'm there at like 5:35 setting the alarm off, and everybody's watching me. And I'm like, this is the music today. In fact, I just want to get police more involved in CrossFit.
Yeah.
That's my goal. They'll walk in and they'll be like, this is a cool place. I have to stay. If I have to do that by setting the alarm off once a month, so be it.
Yeah. I've set it off twice, so you're not alone.
I think almost everybody has.
Well, the one time I set it off is because I just pulled the door to see if it was locked, and I pulled the door and it started going off, and I was like, it's gonna keep going off until I put the key back in and go to. Oh yeah.
JC's been there for 100 years, and he still sets off the alarm very very regularly. So.
All right. Well, we won't keep you any longer because we know you have like a family and stuff.
Yeah.
But is there any like last things you wanted to say on this podcast you didn't get to say? I didn't give you a good enough segue to.
I mean, I think that this was awesome. I love doing this. If you guys are ever in desperate need of a guest, I'll always fill in for you guys.
I'm gonna at least send an invite out to you, Kyle and Taylor, once a month or once every couple of months, because I think it's a good way to engage with the gym.
Absolutely, and we'd be happy to all sit in and do it. I think the Kyle and Taylor, working with them has been nothing short of just awesome, because we're almost always all on the same page. And if I could give any advice to somebody opening a CrossFit, it would be get yourself a Taylor, because she does so many little things that people just don't even know about all the time. She's fixing vending machines and scheduling newbies and texting people that have dropped in to get them to join. So I mean, she's made Kyle my life so much better by being in it. So that's what you need to start a CrossFit is a Taylor in your life.
She's the person that I talk to the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of the face, right? She's there all the time, and it is accessible. And if it weren't for her, Kyle and I it would be 15-hour days for us, because she takes so much off of our plate. So it's nice to have yourself a Taylor.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll just talk forever if we keep.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you so much for coming on, Dave. This was a lot
pleasure.
of fun.
Thank you guys for having me. This was awesome.
And thank you for everyone for tuning in and listening. So I appreciate that. The engagement helps, and
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.